And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Inside Career Technical Education. I'm Ann Baldwin, one of the hosts of this podcast, and I'm flying solo today because my cohort, who's usually here on these programs, as you're probably well aware, Jim Beloga, President and CEO of PorterChester Institute, is MIA. I don't know where he is, but it's okay. We got this. And I'm really excited to welcome back a good friend of PorterChester Institute, a great company that's been very supportive of not only the graduates, but involved in additional training for their company. And Steve Weil is joining us. He is the president of Siftex. And Siftex is an incredible company that does international work. And Steve, I think there's nobody better than you to explain. So welcome to the program. I'm excited to talk about your great involvement with PorterChester Institute today.
Well, thank you, Ann. It's nice to be with you, and thank you for the kind words. PorterChester has done a great job for Siftex, and we're happy to return the favor and talk about the great work that PorterChester has done for us.
Well, let's start first and explain to our listeners what Siftex does. What does your company do? It's really interesting. I've had the pleasure of actually visiting your campus and talking to a PorterChester graduate who now works at your company, and it really was an amazing thing to witness. So why don't you explain what you do?
Sure. Siftex for the last 40 years has been a high technology supplier of flexible connectors. These are large diameter tubes and connecting sleeves that connect process equipment, inlet and outlet pipes. And the people who process food products, pharmaceutical products, chemical products, they need these connectors to move their materials from one machine to the other. So we custom design and then manufacture and supply them to these customer bases all around the world.
You know, and I also noticed there too, there's a lot of versatility in what your employees do there as well. And like you said, you know, your clients are international. I know that I kind of peeked at a couple of your pieces of paper there. I saw, you know, big brands like Frito-Lay. So you really do some pretty high-end work with some customers who expect a lot out of not only you and your company, but also your employees that work there.
Yeah, that's true. And that was one of the things that drew us to PorterChester Institute in looking at ways to improve our productivity in our design and manufacturing departments. We knew that we needed to hire some people with up-to-date skill sets when it came to computer-aided design and 3D printing, and who were very trainable for the kinds of challenges that we have now and going into the future.
And we've talked to Lexi, who's one of your graduates, and she is just a fantastic young woman and loves her job there at Siftex. But one of the other, I don't know if you would call it a challenge or not, but is continuing training for your folks, because the technology changes, especially in the field of, like you said, computer design and CAD and 3D printing. Things are changing each and every day, and I would assume expectations are getting higher and higher.
That's very true. You know, when you're manufacturing a part for a food processor, a pharmaceutical processor, you have to be very, very sure that you're on spec with just what they need, that the materials that you're using are going to match the challenges of the application, but most importantly, that the connector fit. That's number one. So being able to stay on top of 3D printing and computer-aided design so that we're sure that our parts pass QC is really, really important. And the training that we've received from PCI, or our team has received, has dramatically cut down on errors in our quality control, and has really helped us, you know, pick up our game and give our customers the quality that they demand.
So how did this relationship begin, Steve? Because it's my understanding that PorterChester, you two came together and they helped you come up and design a custom training curriculum that you then implemented.
Right, exactly. We knew of PorterChester because they're local in Hartford. Their campus is in Rocky Hill. They have a very, very good reputation. And we basically just reached out to them and spoke to a gentleman named Parker Swan, who was able, you know, who first of all expressed interest in working with Siftex, and then put together a team from PorterChester to ask us about the curriculum we were looking for, the training, the time frame, the budget, all of the things that we needed to get understood. And they very quickly put together a curriculum for us. The whole process took about 2 weeks from the point where we contacted them to the point where we were ready to make a decision.
That's fantastic. And how has your team been able to apply the training that they received from Porter and Chester?
Well, it's been really helpful. For example, we have a project now where we're 3D printing microspheres that are going to be used for calibrating X-ray detection and metal detection equipment. And to manufacture the microspheres at an outside vendor, an injection molding house, would have cost upwards of $60,000. Porter and Chester graduates were at Siftex were able to develop molds using 3D printing that could injection mold the microspheres for a tenth of the cost for the whole project. So it really was a time saver and a money saver for us, and gave us a very good product. The other thing is that Porter and Chester was very fast to come up with the mold making and the injection molding part of the curriculum, so that really helped. They've got great people on staff who are very knowledgeable about that stuff.
Well, that's fantastic. And, I know one of the things that we saw over there, like I said, is the versatility. So, you bring in, and you've hired more than one Porter and Chester graduate. You bring in these folks, and they also have the ability to learn and train on other machines. And it sounds like Porter and Chester is also helping you with that, if you want to call it professional development. So do you plan on using Porter and Chester again in the future for any training?
Yeah, we would like to. Right now, we've got a training program going with one of our providers of our cutting technology, but we think that after that plays out, probably in the third quarter of this year, we'd be going back to Porter and Chester to look at some more advanced CAD training, 3D modeling, and some other things that we're very interested in doing, because the more we can show our customers either online or via a 3D PDF, the easier and faster it is for them to make a decision that the sleeve design is what they want. So Porter and Chester could play a very big role in that for us.
Well, and it's probably got to help you as a company and a provider of these materials too, to increase your your productivity, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Time is money, right? And
yeah,
so also, your competitiveness, because if you can save dollars and still put out a quality product, that makes you more desirable, and that just improves your bottom line.
Exactly. And our production manager, Caddy Garcia, understands that, and she was fully behind the Porter and Chester training. She loves working with the Porter and Chester graduates because they're so open to learning and to new challenges, and they're just a joy to work with. We have an opening in our warehouse right now, warehouse and logistics, and one of the candidates is a Porter and Chester graduate. So we kind of put his resume to the top of the list because we have a strong sense of the kind of person that we're going to get in terms of their training, their willingness to learn, their work ethic, and so on. So I would say, all in all, Porter and Chester is a great training opportunity for companies to partner with.
Well, that's great. Did you hear that? Porter and Chester graduates get put at the top of the pile. That's great news. And finally, before I let you go, and again, we're speaking with Steve Weil, who's the president of Siftex, based out of South Windsor, Connecticut. Would you recommend that companies who might need some training seek out Porter and Chester?
Absolutely. The process is fast. They're very knowledgeable. They're very efficient in what they do, and you just feel like you're working with a good partner that's got your back, and that it's going to be a longer term relationship, just not a one-off. And we really like that because we know the training doesn't stop. It needs to keep going on and on. So yeah, I would highly recommend Porter and Chester.
Well, Steve, what a great testimony to the good work that both you at Siftex and your employees are doing with Porter and Chester Institute. And I want to encourage folks that are listening to this podcast, if you want more information and you want to reach out for some potential training and a partnership with Porter and Chester Institute, or you're interested in any of the skilled trade programs that they offer at their campuses throughout the area, please go to the website. That's the best spot to go for all the information, and that is PorterChester.edu. PorterChester.edu. Steve Weil, thank you so much, and as I like to say, continued success.
Thank you, Ann. It was nice talking with you.